Hello everyone, welcome to my first mock draft of the draft season, and this will be one of two solo mock drafts I will be doing. This is not a predictive mock draft at all. This is based off my own player rankings. I have not gotten to watch every single player in the draft. Obviously, I don't have enough time to get through that to now. By April, I'll be a good majority, but I still will not achieve everyone. I haven't gotten to everyone in this first round that I'm going to talk about today. A lot of this is going to be like, hey, this is from guys I trust. This is what they think, and if I'm hearing this, it means this would fit here. I may change by April. This might be a different draft rankings completely by April. It's just going to depend on how I view players when I get to them. But I want to do this right now to compare and contrast from my early season of the draft season to my end of the draft season thought process on these prospects. Are guys going to fall? Are guys going to rise? I don't know, but I'm very curious to see how this plays out. And listen, this is going to be something people will disagree with. If you disagree with who I have picking here, like your team picks, I fully understand it. I just really look at spots in. This is a lot of spots mock. This will change come April, after free agency and everything happens. But overall, this will be a fun time, and if you have anything you want to say in the comment section of who you'd like to see your team pick, or your thoughts on a certain prospect that maybe I didn't talk about enough in this mock draft, if I draft them and you've watched them, or I didn't have drafted at all, go down in the comment section, tell me, but let's jump into this. And to start out, listen, I don't care if this is predictive or not, it's Fernando Mendoza. Like, there is no world where Fernando Mendoza is not the first overall pick. The Raiders just hired Clint Kubiak to be his head coach, and the one thing I will say is kind of ironic. Fernando Mendoza reminds me a lot of a young Sam Darnold coming out. A very talented quarterback, good arm, has some accuracy things that you're sometimes like, ooh, will throw it into some areas that you're like, ooh, but the talent's there and it's undeniable. Fernando Mendoza has a really good, gorgeous back shoulder throw. He connected on that all over the season, all throughout the season at Indiana. Very talented quarterback. Going to be very interesting to see how the Raiders really use him. I'm curious, though, to see with what the Raiders do in their other picks. Like, Fernando Mendoza, we all know is the first pick. I'm not really making a big statement there. It's going to be more or less, what's going to be after that? Do they make some trades? Like, what is everything going to happen? But moving on to the New York Jets, and the Jets, man, wow, Dante Moore staying at Oregon really messed them up. Because even if the Jets weren't going to draft him, they were going to trade back and get a lot of draft picks and really, really get enough of an arsenal to fix this roster, but he's not there. So the Jets have to take a player at a position of need, and I'm just going to go Ruben Bain here. He is not my number one player on the board right now, but positional value, and I look at Ruben Bain. He is a very talented college pass rusher, but you're worried about how does the arms go in the NFL? He's got very short arms. Is he a Melvin Ingram? Can he ever surpass that threshold? And I think he can. I think he's a very talented edge rusher. I think he's got a lot of really good technique. He's got some really good burst. I really don't have the concerns of Ruben Bain, just like his arms holding him back. And even if they do, he's a really good run defender. You know who's a really good run defender and maybe not the best pass rusher, but went first overall his draft class and has had a job in the NFL for a long time? Jadeveon Clowney. Like, that's kind of like the point, like, oh, he's Jadeveon Clowney. So, a long-term vet who is really good in the run and will occasionally give you some pass rush ability, yeah, that works for me. That's a good building block. That's Ruben Bain. I'm okay with that. Now, we go to the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals, listen, they're going to trade Kyler Murray. I think it's going to be to the Jets, and that's just how it's going to go. Looking at what the Cardinals are going to draft, I think you just need to build out this roster. Fix the roster. And I think you continue going on the offensive line. I think you take Francis Moaga. Now, he has the best nickname in this draft class as the Pancake King. Just want everyone to know that nickname right now because it is tremendous. But the Cardinals, outside of Paris Johnson Jr., I don't think they have a good offensive line. And I really look at Francis, a guy who can play both guard and tackle in the NFL, a guy I would just stick a tackle, to be completely honest, but I believe he could move into guard. I think you would have a very good foundation set of two NFL starting tackles. You have Francis, who can develop and really grow, in my opinion, over the next couple of years while this team is struggling. You get him a lot of playing reps, give him a lot of experience as he continues to grow. And, like, listen, NFL pass rushers, they're not how they used to be. They don't just stay in one spot, unless their name's TJ Watt. But they'll move around the field. They'll go to different spots, and they'll throw you a lot of curveballs, a lot of changeups, fastballs. They'll do a bunch of things, and you need two NFL tackles that are really good to really have a chance to do anything. I mean, look at Seattle. They won the Super Bowl because their two tackles are good. The Patriots lost because their tackles struggled. Like, you need two really good NFL tackles to compete in the NFL, and Francis Mouaga and Paris Johnson Jr. would give the Cardinals just that. Now the Titans, and listen, I have one goal from the Titans this offseason. Just give Cam Ward fun things, because, man, that organization owes him an apology after year one. He got paid the first overall pick salary. Good for him. Everything else after that was just abysmal. And you could argue go offensive line here, and I would completely be fine with that. But I'm going to take Carnell Tate because I want Cam Ward to have a fun receiver to throw the ball to. I look at the Titans. Now, listen, they got to move off Dan Moore. They have to address the offensive line. They have to fix the offensive line. Without a doubt, that should be their number one priority in free agency. I look at that free agency stuff for the wide receivers, and it's not a lot. And if I had to guess, they're going to bring in Juwan Jennings and draft a guy. And that's what I think they're going to do, and it's what I would do too, because, man, I don't think you're going to get Carnell Tate in free agency. I think Carnell Tate can actually become like a really good 1A receiver in the NFL, and I don't see that with the free agents available unless you trade something for George Pickens, but then you have to give him a big-time contract. And do you really want to do that with all the stuff that's gone on with him in his NFL career? Play it safe. Take a Ohio State guy who worked in one of the best receiving factories in college, and you really give Cam Ward someone to have as a reliable target for the next 10 years, hopefully. Now we move on to the New York Giants, and the Giants are going to take my best player in the draft in Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, to me, is just a guy you can't pass up on. Even though I think the Giants have a lot of talented defenders, I just can't get past looking at this and be like, man, they should trade back here, but I don't do trades, so let's look. Well, you can make the argument for receiver, like outside of Malik Neighbors. It's nothing, and Wan'Dale Robinson's going to leave in free agency. Offensive line, very much could see that. The offensive line's not great, but right now, just give me Caleb Downs there. I just want Caleb Downs there. I think it would be tremendous. He's a good, deep roaming free safety. He can make plays. He can come up and tackle. He is a game changer on any defense. And I think if you look at the Giants right now, they can build a very talented defense that can win. And, like, is it that crazy to say? They're not far off from Seattle, probably in talent. Maybe they've had some coaching. Maybe they have some other issues. But you look at the talent the Giants have on defense, it's really, really good and really terrifying. I'm not saying they'll be as good as the Seahawks defense that we just saw, but I'm going to say it's got a chance to be very talented and very dangerous for many years to come. Now, the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns, again, we can look at offensive line here. I would not blame them if, come April, they go offensive line. I know you can see my next 3 picks. This is going to be because of some audio interference. I'm going to go through them relatively fast. Jordan Tyson to the Cleveland Browns. This is someone I just like to the Browns just because he's extremely talented. He can be that one receiver that the Browns build their entire room off of. He is a guy a quarterback can feel very comfortable throwing the ball to. He elevated his quarterback play at Arizona State with 2 quarterbacks I don't think are all that great. I really like Jordan Tyson. I think he is the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. Just you have some medical concerns that I think will prevent him from being the first receiver taken. And I also look at that as something I will use as just really not trusting it, not knowing the full reports, and I just hear a little glimmer of it. It could mean something bad. It could mean a nothing burger at all. But listen to it. I have to take that for account. It's why he's the second receiver off the board. But I think he'd be a home run pick for the Cleveland Browns. The Washington Commanders taking David Bailey. The Commanders just need defensive help. And David Bailey is an edge rusher that is very talented. I haven't gotten to do a deep dive on him yet. But from everyone I respect, even though I've seen a couple people actually a little lower on him, they've talked glowingly about him. And that's something I'm just going to very much take in for the fact Texas Tech had a very good front 7. They were very talented. They got after the quarterback. They played the run very good. That stuff Washington needs, and taking a guy from probably the best front in college football last year, I feel very comfortable doing. Then, my surprise pick, I'm sure, as people are seeing, is Caleb Banks to the Saints. I love Caleb Banks. I'm a Florida Gator fan. Caleb Banks is extremely talented and can just do everything. He can play the run. He can get after the passer. He would be viewed so much higher if he didn't have an injury that really prevented him from playing this past season. The year before that, you really see how he just dominated up front against SEC teams. LSU, who had so many NFL guys drafted, he whooped their butts that entire game. Caleb Banks is a guy that's very much going to rise as we get closer to April, and I think everyone should really just start paying attention to him now. The Kansas City Chiefs, listen, this is a team that I think needs a lot of things. I think they really need to improve this offensive line. I have been a very vocal critic of this Chiefs offensive line. I will still continue to be so because outside of Josh Simmons and Creed Humphreys, I do not like this offensive line at all. And Simmons had his rookie struggles last year, but I still think he should put up enough good film that he can be like, okay, that's something. So I could go offensive line here, but I think the Chiefs have another issue. They lack speed on defense. My God, it is brutal watching them play defense. They are clearly a tick slower than everybody else, and it's very noticeable. And I think that's like the number one thing you have to change is you have to get faster on defense. What's the way you get faster in defense? You get younger. So I'm going to take Avril Reese here. Avril Reese, I believe, is a linebacker, a true off-ball linebacker that can just make plays, something the Chiefs need on defense, especially with the fact you're going to have to get rid of a Jones here very soon. You're going to have to maybe trade a Trent McDuffie here soon. You're going to have to get rid of guys who are going to need a lot of money to free up cap space to do a lot of other things. And I look at Reese as this player that I can build the next iteration of the Chiefs defense around. He's so talented. And that's really where I'm at with the Chiefs is I need that guy on defense to really build it out. Because without a good defense, I'm not going to win another Super Bowl no matter who my quarterback is. And it's Pat Mahomes, and that's saying something. But defense really needs to be good. It needs to be hitting on all levels. And Reese is a game changer that can really do that in the NFL. Now, here we go to the Bengals. Listen, I could take defense here 100%. But I'm going to be selfish here. I'm a football fan. As much as the Bengals defense gives me aneurysms from watching it, and I say that as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan who kind of chuckles a little bit, I need to see Joe Burrow healthy. Like, I'm sick of this injury nonsense. 1 year healthy, 1 year not. No. We're fixing this offensive line. We're fixing it. I'm sick of Joe Burrow missing time. So I'm going to go down, and I'm going to take the number one guard. And I cannot say his first name. I've tried to learn it. I'm still butchering it. So Ione. Ione comes from Penn State. Penn State has been an offensive line factory under Troutwine, who is now at Florida. But you look at all the guys he put in the NFL. It's continuously good, solid football players. And you sometimes have the elite players. Ione, in my opinion, can be the elite player because he is a dynamic guard. Big, strong, powerful, but also has some good quickness with him. I really like Ione, and I think he can be a really good game changer for the Bengals, who can also use him to help improve the run game. You improve the run game, you improve the pass game. As much as we would love to see this defense improve, I need Joe Burrow healthy for my mental sanity. Now moving on to the Miami Dolphins, and I actually had recorded some of this mock draft last night, but my brain went and said, hey, let's wait till Monday night to record this. Just because someone's going to make a move on this Monday. I just know it. And the Dolphins did it. So thank you very much, Miami. And my pick is the exact same because I anticipate this move. I have been a very big critic of the Dolphins need offensive line. They need defensive line help. They need to improve the trenches. Well, here I am, and I'm looking, I'm like, well, I kind of like Fano. I could see the Dolphins taking Fano. Fano's a very talented player, but it doesn't really do it for me at pick 11. And I'm not someone that says drafting offensive lineman is a reach. I believe if you like offensive lineman, you think you can be really good, it's not a reach. Unless, like, I have a third-round grade on them, I'm not going to be critical. So if you went offensive line here, wouldn't blame you. But I see a path the Dolphins can get younger and really get more value for a player. I'm going to draft Makai Lemon here. And my reasoning is, and this is my reason when I created this mock originally, was they're going to cut Tyreek Hill. They're going to free up cap space. They're going to do a lot of stuff, and you can get a young receiver who is cheap and very talented and is a phenomenal zone coverage beater. And then I realized, oh yeah, they're probably going to trade Jalen Waddle at some point. And I look at that. Who is going to be your number one wide receiver? They're in talks about going after Malik Willis. Well, Malik Willis is a on-the-run quarterback. He really excels when he rotates out of the pocket, when he's moving. So let's give him a wide receiver that can help him with that. So what's a way you really stop a mobile quarterback? Play zone. And who destroyed zone coverage at the college level? Makai Lemon. So here's what I'm going to make you do. Even though I have a question about Makai Lemon in man coverage, he was so good in zone, I'm willing to take it, especially because the NFL is predominantly a zone coverage defense. But let's say you go man coverage. Let's say you do that. Oh, your backs are turned to Malik Willis, who's an extremely athletic quarterback that can run. Oh, okay. Sweet. That works for me. I really like Makai Lemon to Miami if they sign Malik Willis. Now, there's not a guarantee if they sign Malik Willis, and even if they don't sign him, I still like Makai Lemon just because it gives you the ability to trade a Jalen Waddle and acquire more draft picks to really flesh out this team. There might not be an offense lineman you want to pick here at pick 11, but maybe back half the first round, if you can get that pick for Jalen Waddle, use that on offense lineman. Maybe you get a high day 2 pick, you use that on offense lineman. Maybe you just trade him for an offense lineman. There are many ways you can use to improve the team, and I think Makai Lemon gives you enough flexibility that you can really look at focusing on that. And also, the Dolphins aren't going to try and win a bunch of games, I don't think, this year. You can take a really talented player here and just continue building out your team in years to come. Now, moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. And, man, I'm noticing a trend here that I'm just like, defense for a lot of teams. The Cowboys are no exception. They need defense. They need a game-changing linebacker. Well, they traded Micah Parsons, so who's the next bet? Sonny Styles. Okay, got it. Now, listen, everyone, I'm not saying Sonny Styles is Micah Parsons. I'm just saying he's a very athletic linebacker that the Dallas Cowboys desperately need. I would overall really look at Sonny Styles as just another off-ball linebacker. Ohio State's got a couple really good defensive players, and we're not done talking about them today. But you just watch him play, and he's just overly talented. He's so quick. He's so agile. Him and Reese are the two guys I watched, and then I watched other linebackers, and I said, this isn't fair. There's a just giant skill gap between Styles and Reese compared to everyone else. I watched, I believe it was Styles, and I watched Rodriguez, the Texas Tech linebacker. And listen, probably the only time you're going to hear me mention him in a mock draft. But I watched it, and I was like, this guy is so slow. Why are we even considering the NFL draft? I didn't recalibrate my brain to think Sonny Styles is a freak of nature moving speed. Like, it's just tremendous. And I really look at Dallas, who just needs game changers on defense. That's a game changer. Take it. Now we move on to the Rams, and the Rams need cornerback help. I'm going to take McCoy here from Tennessee. Now, I haven't watched the Tennessee corners, so this was more or less me taking it because, well, the Rams just hired the former Volunteers defensive backs coach. And I'm just like looking at them like, okay, he knows them. He knows how they play. It just makes sense. I ultimately don't know like how well they're going to translate to the NFL because I haven't watched a lot of them. I have seen some Tennessee games live, and they looked fine in them. And I trust the Rams. They know what they're doing. They hired the right guy. And if that guy knows, maybe it's Hood they draft instead of McCoy. But I have a feeling they're going to draft one of them. And I kind of look at the Rams, and it's like, that team is so freaking smart. I should just copy their homework. I should try to do a predictive here for them because I will look smart. And that's the whole goal, is me looking like a genius. Even though, who knows what I'll think come April, but right now that's what I'm going to go with. Now, we get to the corner I've watched a good bit of in Delane, who is my number one rated corner. Listen, Ravens. you will not be a Super Bowl contender as long as Marlon Humphreys is on the team. Replace him, replace him, replace him, replace him, replace him. Delane, I think, is a very talented cornerback who comes from LSU. And Corey Raymond, who is a very good defensive back coach. He works on them a lot with how to do good press, how to really back off, how to time passes. Mansour Delane, I think, is another just LSU cornerback that's going to translate to the NFL really good. Moving on to the Buccaneers. Buccaneers, defense. They need defense help. They need guys who can tackle, honestly. That's something like very much the Bucs need guys who can tackle. Well, you're not going to get a guaranteed, oh, this guy's an amazing tackler at the NFL level, but I liked a lot of his film. And that's Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, the edge rusher. Listen, I don't think I'm the first guy to say it, and I won't be the last. The Buccaneers need to improve their pass rushing ability. And I will say this about Howell. I noticed him a lot last year. When I watched the Shamar Stewart and Nick Scorton, blanked on the name. I saw Howell a lot, and I was like, he's the best pass rusher out of these three. Now, for those who don't know, I liked Scorton a lot last year. Was not a Shamar Stewart fan. But I kept on noticing Howell when I watched those films. So I have an understanding of how talented Howell is. Then I went through, in the past couple days, I've gone through and I just looked at a lot of edge rushers like, okay, let's look at him. And Howell was one of the guys I watched. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, he's still just as good as I remember last year. And I didn't do a whole lot more because I was like, I saw him last year. I have jotted down in my notes. Extremely talented, good athlete, has a nasty bowl, can get after the quarterback, can play the run. I just listed down a lot of basic things that just, they're basic, but they're true. He's just a really good pass rusher. He had, at Texas A&M, 11 and a half sacks in the SEC. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. Maybe he'll rise up the draft boards as we get closer to the draft time. But right now, I have him at pick 15, which I'm not too angry about because the Bucs need him, and how go into a Todd Bowles defense I think will be very beneficial for him. Now at the midway point of round one, I could go a couple ways here. I think the Jets will be trading for Kyler Murray, so that removes any quarterback from my thought process here because he's not going to play. Kyler will get playing time. So what else do we got here? Well, the Jets kind of just suck. So anything I want outside of offensive line, I like their offensive line. I think their offensive line is really, really good. So removing that, I can kind of have my anything. Like really, what do I want to draft here? I want to draft a cornerback. I want to draft Avian Terrell. Terrell, I think, is a good, talented cornerback that can just do good coverage. Like, I don't think he's a big-time game changer as a ball hawker. I don't think he's going to make a lot of plays in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be the guy that gets you a lot of interceptions. But he's a talented cornerback that has some good press ability, has some solid zone ability, which is a big thing I look at because zone coverage is the predominant coverage in the NFL today. And I just watched a little bit of him because I didn't go through a lot of Clemson. I saw a little bit of each and every of these Clemson first-round guys that are projected, and Terrell was by far the guy I liked the most. And I just watched him more and more, and I kept on thinking, okay, I see the path where he works in the NFL better than a lot of other corners. And that's something I look at is cornerbacks, I think, are kind of hard to evaluate in today's day and age. As we see a lot of teams in college will go man coverage. They won't go as much zone. Well, man coverage is not used all that much in the NFL. I believe the Steelers were the team that called the most man coverage. I believe they were at a 33% in the NFL, which is still a big margin more than everyone else. It is predominantly a zone coverage league. Avian Terrell looked really solid in zone coverage when I watched him, and that was something that I think really should be taken notice of, is he's a talented zone coverage guy, and that's just what the NFL is. Moving on to the Lions. Spencer Fano. The Lions need offensive line help. I know a lot of people are pointing out, they missed Ben Johnson last year. Ben Johnson's why this team's not as good. No, it was not because of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson didn't help, but you watch this offensive line, it was a shell of itself from past years. It had injuries. It had guys retire. It just was a shell of itself, and they couldn't really get off the blocks. They couldn't really figure anything out. They need to fix this offensive line. That is the heart of this Lions team, is the offensive line. What do? They run the ball. Well, you need a good offensive line. They want to air it out at times. Well, you need a good offensive line. They want to grind it out physically. They want to beat teams up. Well, you need a good offensive line. The whole line's identity needs an offensive line, and I think this is something you just really go back to. You take Spencer Fano here, and you are overall happy with the guy you draft. Now the Vikings, and no, I thought of it. Before anyone thinks of it, trust me, I thought of it. I thought of putting Ty Simpson here, and part of me was really tempted because, ironically, I think Ty Simpson would be a very good Viking. I think he'd fit the Kevin O'Connell system. I think he is a better player than J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a better prospect than J.J. McCarthy was. So, Ty Simpson here, I wouldn't hate it, actually. But the Vikings aren't going to do that. They're probably going to bring in a veteran quarterback. And I'm going to go along those lines of, okay, if I brought in a veteran, I would not obviously draft Ty Simpson and have 3 guys trying to get the quarterback position. So, I'm going to look at other needs here. And I really just came away to wanting to improve this defense more because, well, I like Brian Flores and I want him to have good things. So there were a couple guys that stood out here. Caden McDonald, I really, really do like. Lee Hunter, CJ Allen. Whew. Watch some CJ Allen film if you haven't. That dude is a fun watch. And it was a Mesidor from Miami was the other guy I considered here. I really just locked in on one guy. Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter is not going to be in discussion a lot here, in my opinion, yet, because other players are going to get prioritized, but I really watched Lee Hunter, and I just kept on thinking, that's a first-round defensive tackle. He's got some good interior pass rush ability, but this dude just shuts it down up front. He is a big-body guy who can just take it away. And I look at the division the Vikings are in. They're in division with the Bears. Ben Johnson likes to run the ball. Lions, Dan Campbell likes to run the ball. Packers, LaFleur likes to run the ball. They like to run the ball in that division. Lee Hunter is a very, very talented run defender. He is a big guy that will move people up front and get those lanes clogged up. Really do like Lee Hunter. Now you look at the Carolina Panthers. Here's where we're going to look at the Miami defensive end. Mesidor, I was a little bit lower on before I watched more of this Miami defense because I watched him and Ruben Bain at the same time, and I was overall like, okay, Mesidor is not just a Robin. Well, I don't think he's ever going to be like a true top-tier pass rusher, but for this example, he's not a Robin in college. He would have been a Batman on a lot of other teams. The problem was the opposite pass rusher is Ruben Bain. Very talented guy, has some really good technique, has some really good swim, is a good hand fighter. I think can be very talented in run defense and can get after the quarterback. Do I think he'll become like this top-end elite pass rusher? No, I think I already said that. But I look at him as a guy that can be a solid contributor to a team that desperately needs just pass rushing help, even if it's by committee. Up next, the Dallas Cowboys, and here I am with the Dallas Cowboys again. Defense. Well, I wanted to have a little bit fun with this pick. So, I wanted to take a guy I have a high grade on, like not like top 10 grade, but a very good grade on, and just put him in this mock draft to look back on. Dylan Thieneman. Dylan Thieneman is a guy that I really liked when I watched him for Oregon because I'm a Steelers fan. I love safety play, and I am not a big fan of the Steelers safeties outside Deshaun Elliott. So, I've watched a lot of safeties in this draft class in Thieneman. I just love how he's in coverage. I love how he attacks the ball. I just watched him play over and over again, and I was just giddy. He's so good at attacking when the ball's in the air. He is very good in the red zone. Like, everything I really took note of, I'm like, this would be a really good guy on a bend but don't break defense. And that's kind of what the Cowboys should aim for this year, is a bend but don't break, because I don't think you're going to completely overhaul this defense and it's going to be amazing after with the performances we saw last year. No. But can you maybe bend every so often, that you don't break, but you give up 3 instead of 7? You give up a little bit less. And Dylan Thieneman is a guy that I could very much see doing that at the NFL level. Now, I just got to address the elephant in the room. I'm sure a lot of football fans watching this are like, where's Jeremiah Love? Where's Jeremiah Love? No, he is not going with this pick. I would never have my team take a running back in the first round. Never. Never, never, never. That will not happen. Here's the thing about Jeremiah Love. I don't really think as highly on him as everyone else does. This is going to be me talking about Jeremiah Love. I think he's a very talented player, but I don't think he's a surefire top-end running back talent, which has me dropping him out of first rounds completely because I am very anti-running back round one unless you are a special talent. You have to be Ashton Jeanty last year, pretty much for me, to want to draft a running back round one. And Love is not Ashton Jeanty to me. He's a very good running back. I think he'll have a very good NFL career, but he's not that. So, just want to get that out of the way. If you're wondering, Jeremiah Love will not be picked. Now, looking at the Steelers, I have questioned this. So, I'm going to take a little time and do a little Steelers corner here because I'm a Steelers fan. Everyone wants them to take a wide receiver. I'm okay with that, but I'm on the weird section that's like, I kind of like these day 2 guys a lot more than these day 1 guys that right now, maybe draft changes, guys fall, guys rise. We all know that song and dance. So I'm saying this in April. I'm not February, not April. I really, really like out of the guys here, 2 guys that are highlighted to me. Casey Concepcion, who I think does everything better than Denzel Boston, even though Denzel Boston seems to be the pick here, but contested catches. I think he's a much better route runner. I think he's just a much better game changer player. And that's something I looked at was he reminds me a lot of a JSN coming out. Now, not saying he'll be as good as JSN, but that guy that kind of just does everything really well. That's Casey Concepcion to me. And Omar Cooper, who I think is probably the most slept on wide receiver of this draft class, which is saying something because a lot of people like him. But I watched him and I just thought, why isn't he in the first round of mock drafts more often? Why is Denzel Boston there? And the reason why I highlight Denzel Boston is I think he's a really good red zone target. Denzel Boston to me is a talented red zone target. Boy, do I get Keon Coleman flashbacks watching him. And for those who don't know, I was not a Keon Coleman fan when he entered the draft. I was very low on him. And one thing I was like, I think he could be good in the red zone. I don't know anywhere else. And that's where I see with Denzel Boston is I think he'd be very good in the red zone. I'm unsure how he's going to be everywhere else. And that's why Denzel Boston will not be the pick here. Looking at the Steelers wide receivers, I'd be okay with either or. I'm going to take the more fun option for me. And when I say fun option, I mean the guy that can just do more, and that's Casey Concepcion. Why? This dude is an amazing return man. That's something I want the Steelers to address for years, is get me a fun, dynamic returner. And a guy who can play wide receiver? Perfect. I'll be happy. Casey Concepcion, I think, can do that and be a very talented player that you hopefully build your team around for the future. Even though this Steelers team will not rebuild, they will not do anything I want. So, yeah, no, this is more or less me fantasizing of the Steelers actually drafting a player I like and really giving me a game changer that can affect not only offense but help in special teams. Now the Chargers. So, listen, Chargers, your offensive line got Justin Herbert murdered just all season long. Now, I know your 2 starting tackles were out. You get a pass on that. The interior offensive line, oh boy, that was that was scary. I would expect the Chargers to pony up a lot of money for Tyler Linderbaum if he's a free agent. I would not be shocked if he was a Charger next year. I would not be shocked. I think he could get a very, very nice paycheck there. And, the Chargers just need offensive line help. They are good at tackle, and real quick, I'll just talk about him. Caden Proctor here is a guy that a lot of people are going to move into guard. They're going to have him at guard. I'm a little wary of him. I'm still not certain I am 100% sold on him as a guard. I'm still not 100% certain I'm sold on him as a tackle. But I think he's a very talented player that, I can see the case for that. He's a great athlete. You see a lot of intangibles there. That's a guy you take. But I don't feel comfortable taking him. I'm going to take Emmanuel Pregan. And I wanted to pull something up here. His grades by game. Nothing special. Yeah. Then you look at that overall grade. That grade on PFF. Now, PFF, I understand. Their offense line, not the best. Then you look at offensive snaps. This dude has played a lot of freaking football. Sacks given up. 1 sack. Out of all of those stats, 784, 882, 910. All 3 seasons, 1 sack. He gave up a grand total of 8 hits. And, hey, his first 2 years, he gave up 13 hurries each year. His last year, he gave up 2 hurries. Like, I understand people are low in PFF. You look at those numbers. Sacks, hits, hurries. Like, man, this dude's good. And Oregon is an offensive line factory that I just trust. I trust they know what they're doing on offensive linemen. I trust they'll put them in the league. I trust they'll be good. He has got good power. He's got good athleticism. He is a very good offensive lineman that I very much would love to see the Chargers take and just overall save Justin Herbert. Just save him before he's, well, just destroyed. Now, the Eagles. And the Eagles are always the team that, like, I see a lot of cases for. They're a team that I would easily see going offensive line. I could see them taking Pragon if he was on the board here, and it'd be shocking to a lot of people, and I'd look and be like, well, I agree with Howie Roseman. I feel smart. Honestly, that's what I would say, probably, and my dad would look at me and roll his eyes. The Eagles here, though. The Eagles, I could see doing a couple things when it comes to April. Like, this is a spot I very much see a tight end getting drafted. I'm not going that route yet, but, like, I could see it. Dallas Goedert, you need to free up some cap space. You move off of him. Maybe you go wide receiver here. You're probably moving off A.J. Brown this offseason. Get another playmaker there. But I just kind of like fun. And I'm not an offensive-only fun guy. I like defense, too. I think Keldrick Folk to the Eagles is just kind of fun. It's fun. Fun. Front seven fun. Pass rushing ability fun. He fits the Eagles of what they like. I just overall, like, I watched Falk and I was like, you know, I can see him being an Eagle. I just thought it and I was like, yeah, that's probably not going to change for me. I view him as an Eagle type player. The Cleveland Browns, this is the pick that they got for the Travis Hunter swap, and this is where I'm going to draft an offensive lineman. I'm very happy. Oh, hey, look, Caleb Lumo's on the board still. Now, when I was creating this mock, I actually forgot to take Lumo a little earlier than I probably would have, but I was going based off with what the board was, and he was here at 24. Caleb's a very talented offensive lineman. I think both Utah tackles are just great players. You could swap them out for me either or. I think they'll both be very good pros at NFL level. Maybe they won't be all pros, but like they'll be very good, solid tackles at NFL level. And as I said previously with the Arizona Cardinals, you need 2 good tackles to have any shot in the NFL nowadays. And Caleb Lumo would be just that for the Browns. Moving on to the Bears. The Bears. I don't like their front seven. I really don't. And I really just want to change it up here. Watch C.J. Allen, guys. I don't know how to put into words the draft crush I have on C.J. Allen. Like, this is the guy I'm going to have rise up the board probably way more come April. I will probably have 3 linebackers in the top 15 in my April mock draft. I know that for a fact because I love C.J. Allen that much. Tremendous athlete, can play all over the field. Downhill I like, in coverage I like. He's just a tremendous football player, and I just look at the Bears. They lack talent at the linebacker position. They lack talent in the front seven just in general, in my opinion. That's a spot I would really like to see them like work out and fix. Now, here we are at the Buffalo Bills. In the Buffalo Bills, I'm just going to do something for Josh Allen. Oh, there he is, Omar Cooper. They need a wide receiver, everyone. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, this, it's bad. Keon Coleman was not the best pick in the world. I don't think I need to stress that enough. Omar Cooper Jr., talented guy, is really good in contested catches, can go up and get the ball, has some good speed ability. I think it would overall be a very good marriage between him and Josh Allen. Josh Allen, like, a speedster is very good to have with Josh Allen, but I don't think that should be your number one wide receiver focus. I think your number one wide receiver focus should be a guy that can go up, win a contested catch, win that pass, and that's what Omar Cooper can do to me. Now the 49ers. And the 49ers, they're in such an interesting spot of, I don't know what to do here because I can make a case for anything because they need so much help because their depth their depth is so bad as we saw this past year. They have so many older guys that are their contracts are going to be coming up that they're going to be fading out of the NFL soon. Like offensive tackle, I can see it. But the 49ers don't take offense linemen. And again, this is just me theorizing with what they'll do. I just looked over everything and I was like, well, could go tight end here. George Kittle, his career might be done. That Achilles injury at his age and all the injuries he's had, that's probably not good. Could easily go there. Could go wide receiver here. You're probably losing Juwan Jennings. You're definitely losing Brandon Ayuk. Ricky Pearsall, as talented as he is, he's had issues staying healthy. We look at receiver here, and that really had me looking. Okay, well, who are the receivers here on the board? Denzel Boston. I maybe said some things in. Maybe it was a little harsh comparing him to Keon Coleman. Good red zone threat. Could he play the Juwan Jennings role? Big body guy in the red zone? Yeah. I could easily see that. I don't know if that's what I necessarily would like to do, but I can see the path. Chris Bell, he's a wide receiver I like a lot. I really like him as a route runner. I really like him as a deep threat. But that kind of overlaps with Ricky Pearsall. So, well, let's look at other positions. Peter Woods, I'm just not high on. TJ Parker, just still not all that high on. I think he is better than Peter Woods, and you'll hear me talk about him a little bit more in a bit, but Kristen Miller, I think he's very talented. I'm just not certain I really would care for him on the 49ers. Monroe Freeling, the 49ers will not draft offensive linemen, offensive tackles, so I will just do with what they do because, stubborn. And I kept on going down and down and down, and I just went back up. And I was like, okay, I'm just taking Caden McDonald. He's my best player on the board. That's really what it boiled down to me here, is I just took my best player on the board with the 49ers. The 49ers, they have been trying to build up their front seven. I think they did a much better job. I was very critical of the Mykel Williams pick because I did not like him as a pass rusher. I think he's a very talented run stuffer. And that was something I very much was like, hey, 49ers, I like that you're addressing the run last year. I really do. They're really good run stuffers. Can we get some pass rush ability? And, Caden, I don't think he's a tremendous pass rusher, but he had 12 hurries this past year on a really talented Ohio State defense. He played the most snaps. He played 230 pass rushing snaps. He was good at applying pressure from the interior, and that's something I just kind of like to see San Francisco do. So I was looking at everything overall. Caden McDonald, he was my best player on the board. He gives the 49ers some pass rush help, which I think they desperately need. I overall just think it's a good pick in a good marriage. The Houston Texans. I will overrule any rulings that Kyle Shanahan disciples. They will not take an offensive lineman in round one. I'm telling everyone this now. Kyle Shanahan and his disciples will not take offensive linemen in round one. No matter how much you scream about it, it will not happen. That being said, I'm making the pick. I'm taking Caden Proctor because he's my best offensive lineman on the board. Do I have questions about him? Yeah. But at the very least, he's a body I can use to throw at this offensive line and try and fix it. Because this offensive line is bad. It is not good. It needs a lot of overhaul. And Caden Proctor is the start of that. Moving on to the Rams. And the Rams, they're kind of just I get to have fun with this pick team because they're going all in. They're going for a Super Bowl. I know a lot of people will probably have them taking Ty Simpson, and I could very much see that happening come April. That being said, I think the Rams are in win now territory. And I look at Devontae Adams, he's getting older. He had some injury issues. Puka Nacua has had injury issues his career. I'm going to take Chris Bell, a wide receiver I very much like, a guy that I think can be a very good deep target for many years to come, and is just overall talented. I really would be interested to see how Sean McVay would design his 3 wide receiver offense with 3 really good guys. I'm not the biggest Tutu Atwell guy. I think Chris Bell is a better player than Tutu Atwell and would see the field way more and be just dynamic for the Rams and giving them an extra boost on offense. The Denver Broncos. This is probably my biggest hot take. I do not have a good grade on Kenyon Sadiq. I watched him. He's one of the few players I went through every game this past season of. I'm not a fan. I tried. But I like Eli Stowers a lot. And Eli, here, I'm just going to pull it up again. Targets, 85, 62 receptions, 769 yards. I don't necessarily like him as an inline player, and Vanderbilt agreed with that. He had 83 inline snaps this past season. Well, what did they use him as? Pass snaps, slot snaps. Does Sean Payton have history of using maybe a not so good inline tight end, but as a really good passing option all over the field? Oh, he does, and Jimmy Graham. Yeah, no, give me Eli Stowers. I really think that the Broncos need to find some offensive explosiveness. I am still not a fan of this offense. I'm just not. I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't think it's that great of an offense. Eli Stowers can very much get a major boost to the Broncos. He is a talented tight end that can be a really good receiving tight end in the NFL. That's what the Broncos need. It's why I have him going to the Broncos at pick 30. Now the Patriots. The Patriots are in a weird spot. As much as I really want to take an offensive lineman here, I have not watched a lot of Monroe Freeling yet, so I didn't feel comfortable taking him. But I watched enough TJ Parker. I'm not as high on him as I've seen a lot of draft boards are, but I think he's still a solid player that can very much find a role. He reminds me a lot of Harold Landry, a Mike Vrabel guy. Harold Landry does not have success anywhere outside of Mike Vrabel defense, but when he's in a Mike Vrabel defense, he has good success. That's kind of with when I see TJ Parker. I think Mike Vrabel can do a good job finding spots for him, utilizing his skill set. I just don't really know how many other teams I would really take him in the first round on. And then we go to Seattle. Seattle, I'm just going to take a corner here, and really it just boiled down to guys I've heard the best things about. And honestly, I kind of consider D'Angelo Pons here because I saw a lot of him, but I was like, he's a little handsy and a little small. I don't know if he'd be the pick. A lot of people seem to really love Colton Hood. So I'm going to take Colton Hood here, and I'm just going to really give Mike McDonald another defensive back player that he can mold with, he can work with. And here's the thing. I'm just going to keep on pulling this up. He was targeted 52 times, 28 receptions, 318 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 1 interception. I don't know if he's a great player, but I kind of read all those, and I've read from a lot of people that I respect talk about him. They speak very highly of him. I'm just going to trust those people, and when I get to the film, I'll see for myself. But right now, I'm going to take Colton Hood here for the Seattle Seahawks, as they have a need at corner with most likely losing Riq Woolen. I think Colton Hood very much can fit that role that Riq Woolen played. So that's going to wrap this up. Tell me what you think about this mock draft down in the comment section. I greatly appreciate any interaction you want to give, your dislikes, your likes, who you want to see your team pick here. Any players that I didn't mention that you think I should go pay attention to, I should go watch some film of. I love those recommendations. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a great day. And everyone, just get excited. We got the scouting combine here soon in the next couple weeks.